iZombie Season 2, Episode 13, The Whopper. I think this is actually a really good episode because, once again, I don't know when this is officially going to just happen, but they've been putting so many little seeds towards Major getting busted that it's been insane lately. Like, I don't know, this is probably the fourth episode where I'm like, this could get him busted or that could get him busted, because we had, of course, Blaine when he was first arrested. I was like, that could easily lead to Major. Then there was the guy in the last episode surviving. That could lead to Major. There is this episode, of course, where not only does he get captured by Blaine's people, so Blaine now knows that he's working for someone. He doesn't know it's Max Rager, but he knows he's working for someone. And they have the picture, which I knew was going to happen as soon as he was like, oh, there's someone out there, or, I think there's someone out there. I'm like, they're going to get a picture, and it's going to lead to something. So we have that as well. And there's like one other thing I can't even think. The lake dragging thing. That was the other thing. I'm like, there's so many little moments where I'm like, he's going to get caught as the Chaos Killer. And there's so many factors in that. Of course, he has Max Rager finding out that he's not actually killing people. He has the cops finding out that, or, you're finding out that he's the Chaos Killer. So it would either be explain zombies or go to prison. So weird balance there. And then you have Blaine now, who can also lead to Max Rager and might actually go up against Max Rager if he does figure it out. Because he says he's like, oh, I'm gonna figure it out. Which I was surprised he was letting Major go in general. And Blaine's like, meh, like I don't need to keep him and get that information. I'll just solve the problem. But I don't know. Once again, they're planting seeds, and I'm just freaking out. Like, I'm not sure how long this is gonna last. So that's one of the many little things that they put in. Then we get a new timeline for both Blaine and Major possibly dying in the future, because we have a new hope in this episode actually dying. So not only do we now have our timeline for the guys turning back into zombies, which, based on how it's happened, it won't happen for a while, and even when they turn into zombies, they'll have a while before they die. And I mostly say that, man, I got super bright just now. I mostly say that though because A New Hope was cured as a zombie, I believe within the same week as Major and Blaine during the first season, because I'm pretty sure they found that cure, and it was either the same, it may have actually been in that same episode in the last season, or like the one before that. But it was like within a couple of days, both Major and Blaine were given the cure to being zombies. So, considering that, and the fact that A New Hope turned like a couple episodes back, which is, I believe, like a couple of weeks episode-wise, they have a much longer timeline, and I think it's because, they're humans, much bigger system and everything like that. But this new death clock is just crazy. So we get the addition of that, but we also get the prospect of, the new tainted utopium, because of the way that they do the murder in this episode. It actually ties in to the answers that they've been looking for, which I thought was really cool, because they find the body and it's like, no, this definitely isn't who we're looking for, because the guys we're looking for died like 2 years ago. This is just a couple of months. So they find, Major and Robbie find like this random dead body, and it's like, oh, that's weird. That what they're doing led to the case, and then that case led back to what they were doing. So it kind of went full circle, which I thought was actually kind of cool. And they have the Tainted Utopian, which is really good, and Major was just like all over the place, super happy, but Ravi didn't exactly look like he was ecstatic in any way, shape, or form. He was just like, I mean, I guess you could just say he was like shocked and happy, which definitely could be the case, but he just looked like he didn't have any hope even after they found it, which scared me a little bit. But I'm sure they'll be fine, mostly because if they kill off Major and Blaine, they're killing off two really important characters, one of which is like, I guess he's not exactly a villain in this season, but if they kill him off, it's just going to be about Stacy Boss, and he's just a regular gangster. So it's like, it would take a weird chunk of the, idea, or concept of the series. So I'm sure both of them will be fine, and it'll probably just come down to like, down to the wire or something. But that was really cool. That was really good. The vision that Liv got showing that Drake is actually involved with the murder, I thought was pretty interesting, and that Don E was actually the killer. I thought that was really cool. It's like, oh, they can't officially solve this case, and fortunately for them, Stacy Boss sent Drake to kill the guy, because if he hadn't gone to do that, then they would have kept going in that case, and they would have had to have figured something out as a way to kind of throw Clive off the case. But in an odd, series of events, Stacy Boss is like, oh, he's our killer too. Like, everyone thought this guy was the killer, so Stacy Boss sent Drake to kill him, which is very, ironic, because Drake was actually there. So he sends Drake to kill the guy, and it actually works, and he kills him, does whatever with his body, and he sets up the house to make it seem like he left. And I don't know if it is going to come up or not, but they did have Liv look at, like, the coffee stain, and, she, like, touches the wall and stuff, and I thought they were going to talk about that, but they didn't, even in this episode. So I don't know if it'll show up or something. Maybe someone will find the guy's body, and they'll re-inspect the house, and they'll be like, okay, so there's coffee on this wall, which I thought was weird the first time we came in, but, everything else made sense. Like, he, was shuffling around, looked up some stuff online, which, by the way, like, the first thing I thought when I saw that was, like, if someone's looking up airplane tickets and stuff like that, well, though, I guess it makes sense. He'd look at it. I guess it does make sense, because he'd be looking it up. He wouldn't buy them online, because that would be stupid. But he'd have to use his card anyway, so it was kind of like the same thing. But I guess they wouldn't know 100% until he got there. But I was like, it doesn't make sense that it would just be stuck on the screen where you're selecting, the flights. But I guess that does make sense. So they might end up going back to that house, and I think that's what'll lead Liv to finding out that Drake actually works for Stacy Boss. Because I thought her vision was going to do that. I thought, like, oh, she sees Drake, he's been shot, and I thought it was going to be like, okay, the guy, he gets shot, like, in the back or whatever, and then he turns around. I thought it was going to be Stacy Boss, but that was also stupid, because he, no leader kind of does their own thing. So I guess that made sense as well, that it wouldn't have been Stacy Boss. But I was still hoping for it. I was like, oh man, he's going to turn around, and Stacy Boss will be standing there, and she'll get, like, the huge reveal that her boyfriend works for Stacy Boss, and that's a really big issue. That's an even bigger issue than working for Blaine. So I'm still looking forward to that, actually. I want to see what will happen when they get to that point. But I thought it was really cool. I thought it was an interesting moment. Just the way that they had to solve the case, and the way that it fortunately got solved for them a little bit. And it was kind of automatic out for Liv, instead of her having to figure out all this extra stuff. And I was like, okay, that was a weird way for that to work, but it all kind of just came together, where everybody thought that this guy was the killer until, like, the last minute. And we find out that, the one person that, there were two people that knew. One of them has been all over this episode, and that was Drake. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill this guy, and he killed one of our guys and stuff like that. And that's probably why he asked him, like, oh, what did he do? Because he knew, he knew what Stacy Boss was gonna say, because everyone thought he was the one, that killed the guy. So that's probably why he actually asked him, just to see, like, is it because he thinks he killed him that'll confirm that I don't have to worry about me getting busted and stuff. So that was actually really cool. I enjoyed that. Yeah, I just really don't know what's going to happen with this stuff. Now, they have a picture that they look at the end of this episode, Clive and his girlfriend, who I swear I can never remember her name. They say it in the beginning of this episode, and I remember the scene because it was a good scene, because Robbie was like, if she bears your children, we start calling her, by her first name, and I thought that was really funny. And it's just like, I can't ever remember her name for some reason. But they're looking at this picture, of Major and Blaine, and it's just leading, constantly, just more and more stuff keeps happening that's going to lead to Blaine getting busted. And one of those things will most likely end up being the fact that Blaine had Major dig his dad up, or take him out of the freezer. So we have a zombie who's supposed to be dead, who's going to make a brand new will, which first off, I don't know how Blaine expects to do that. If he's going to be like, hey, I found this video at random or something. But clearly he's super pissed about the whole nanny, the nanny getting all the money, which he should be, because they mentioned her. I was like, man, she's a horrible freaking person. And they just that was like what, a minute, 2 minutes maybe of content about that character, and it's just like, wow. She killed his dog. She made him like clean the floor with his tongue because he stole some bubble gum. She's like beating him and just all this crazy stuff, and I was like, wow, I hate this woman automatically. So that was pretty interesting. Like she just comes into it and it's just like instantly I hate her because of clearly who she is. I kind of want more backstory on that, but it you don't really need a lot of backstory on she was abusive and his dad clearly didn't give a crap, and he gave her everything. He gave her $100 million, and then I think he gave her like one of the houses. He gave her like some estate, but he gave her $100 million, and then everything else was left to his son, unless he died mysteriously. Which of course, Chaos Killer could easily be anyone with spray paint, and it's just like that is some BS. That's really messed up. So I don't know how he plans to get this new video will as a part of his contesting the woman having all the money, but it's like they would have known about that, I would assume. But he'll do something. He leaves the guy with his bodyguard and the random woman Candy, so that they can kind of get their revenge on him a little bit. So he'll have that video come out, and it can only result in bad things for Major, honestly. I mean, somehow I feel like that'll get out. Like, oh, there's this new will, and who knows? I just feel like that'll come up. Something's got to happen there, and it'll be like, oh, there is somehow a second, video, and it'll have like the date on it or something really bad, and that'll get back to Max Rager because it's obviously like this really rich, famous guy having like a secret double will that's way more recent for whatever mysterious reason, and that's going to get back to Major, or something crazy is going to happen that'll lead to it. So now we have Blaine is just a huge issue for Major, although he will be able to have him kind of target the zombies a little bit faster, because he did have the one guy, the reporter, who is a bit of an issue. So it's like, oh, you come to the place, so we'll fix all the issues you're having. And so Blaine gets rid of him so he can't, reveal all this secret stuff about the zombies and the brains and the utopium. And of course, Major gets to continue through the list. So it does have its benefits for Major, but it's Blaine, so it's mostly, negative. And that also leads to Major finding out that Liv does know what's going on with Blaine, which wasn't too great for him. He also finds out that she has someone in her bedroom, obviously the pathological liar. Seemingly, he saw right through that. He was just like, oh, yeah, sure. So he knows that she's with someone. I personally, not that big of a deal. I'm more interested in Peyton and Robbie's relationship than any other relationship in this show, to be totally honest. So I wasn't really too concerned about it. It's like, oh, that kind of sucks for him because he's the one who's constantly hurt by it, because he's like, I want to be with you, but then he's like, we have to be with our own kind and stuff like that. Or no, yeah, it was Liv that said that, so that wasn't him. And so she broke it off with him, constantly. That was pretty much how it went. I think he broke it off with her one of the times out of the three, I guess, but it's mostly been her. So he's the one that's been really affected by this, and it's like, oh, great, I'm basically the one that's alone here, and you got somebody new, and you're the one that broke up with me, so it just makes it worse for him, of course. But just a fairly minor moment. But there's just a lot of great little stuff that was in this episode, and I'm really looking forward to where they go with it, because we have the Chain of Utopium, which will most likely take some time. We saw what happened when it doesn't work, because the one guy who knew how to make the Chain of Utopium was like, I can't be a zombie, and he drank it instantly, and I believe he just melted on the inside or some crazy crap like that. So there's gonna be some trial and error there. And they also have, they no longer have A New Hope, which I think also alters the results just a little bit, because, they have the clones of A New Hope, but they don't have A New Hope to be 100% and it's never 100%, it's still experimenting, but it's less definitive when you have, clones of the original source, so you get like sub-results, pretty much. But I'm looking forward to it. I certainly enjoyed this episode. We had some really good moments, some really good little stuff in here. Another really funny scene with Clive and Ravi is when they came back from commercial, And Clive is talking about how Liv takes on the personalities of everyone that's involved in the cases. That was really funny. I was like, oh, he does notice this type of stuff, so he sees what's going on. And it made me wonder, it came up as like a really funny thing, but it did make me wonder if he's going to end up figuring out the whole zombie situation on his own. But that was a really funny scene, just the way that they did it. And it's like, that's really funny. He's like, Robbie's just like, I don't see it. I don't know what the heck you're talking about. And it's like, look, we're dealing with a pathological liar. And of course, that's when Liv comes in. And I can't remember what lie she told during that scene, but she had like the $40 million thing. And it's like, oh, I think you won like 50 grand still. And she's just like, oh, crap, caught in a lie. I just ripped it up. Oh, well. So there was that. Of course, there was the stuff with Major. And then there was something else. And I think that was, that scene. But also her inventing the orgasm, the drink, and all this other silly stuff. But that was a really funny scene. It was like, it could evolve into something more serious if he does start figuring out, certain aspects. But we'll have to see. I mean, I would assume if he sees one zombie and he realizes how everything plays out, he'll instantly figure out that Liv is a zombie. So they might be holding off on that for quite a while. But I don't know. But it was certainly a fun episode. I definitely want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I have asked about Major a million different times, so I'm not even going to bother doing that again. But I actually want to know what you guys think is going to happen with Blaine after this episode. Because we have, of course Major is affected because of that picture at the end, but it definitely affects Blaine for sure. Blaine also has this extra information on Major. He has his father now, who he can use to make a new will and get hundreds of millions of dollars, and all these extra estates, which will most likely total to billions of dollars in the end. So he's gonna, I would assume this is all gonna work out for him, the video thing. So he's gonna be in a very odd position of power, money wise, and that can really affect what happens with his character. So I want to know where you guys think that's gonna be going, because I think it's just going to make him an even deadlier character. It might make him more of the main villain like he was in the last season, because now he'll have all this money. He'll be able to go up against Stacy Boss and may or may not have enough money to just hire some people to try to go all out and kill Stacy Boss so that he can be the one person selling Utopium around the city. So that's kind of how I feel like it, that's where it might be going, but I don't know. I feel like the Stacy Boss thing has a lot more to do, so it might not be instant. And they might, some legal ways. I think they could do a lot of easy legal stuff. Like, that's how they work around him instantly just getting all the money right back. Because this random new video is a really weird idea, and he's going to have to figure out how to lie about that. So it's an easy way to make it take some time, but I feel like that's where it's going. But like I said, I want to know your expectations and speculations, and of course what you thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.